In this week's Heirs and Spares, we'll of course be diving into Photogate. Despite the explanation from Kensington Palace and a very personal and unusual apology from the Princess of Wales, everyone seems to have a conspiracy theory right now.
That's right. And could Princess Diana's intimate love letters to James Hewitt go on sale in the United States? A final insult to her memory that could crush both the heir and the spare. Hello and welcome to Heirs and Spares, the show where we bring you insight and opinion into the lives of two of the most famous royal couples on both sides of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex right here in California.
And I'm Katie Nicholl, and I'll have all the latest from the UK on the Prince and Princess of Wales.
This is an incredible week when it comes to royal news on your side of the pond, Katie. But over in the U.S., Princess Diana's intimate love letters to James Hewitt are reportedly set to go on sale, and there are fears that they could be made public. Plus, a federal judge has ordered the Department of Homeland Security to submit documents related to Prince Harry's visa for the court to review.
Well, Kinsey, can't wait to hear about all of that, but there was only ever going to be one story from me this week, and that is, of course, Photogate, which has dominated the news headlines, even knocking the all-important Commonwealth Day service off the news agenda on Monday. I can't imagine the King was too happy about that. We'll be discussing the fallout from that picture and trying to understand what really happened.
I've been chomping at the bit to hear your take on this because you always have such a... When I read your reporting, you always report things in such a way that is clear, that is common sense. And there's been a lot of chaos surrounding this story of the Princess of Wales and this photo. So I've been just so eager to talk to you about this and to hear your opinion on it.
Well, I thank you for those kind words, first of all. I mean, I've been very reluctant to get into too much sensationalism around this picture. And I think we should start, Kinsey, with what we actually do know. Let's just roll back a couple of days. And it's been a lot of royal news in a couple of days. But the Sunday papers knew we were in for a treat when they were told there would be a picture made available for the Sunday papers that was going to go out on social media channels, the Prince and Princess of Wales' Instagram account, of a new picture of the princess and her children to celebrate Mothering Sunday. Now, I think the palace were in something of two minds about this. Let's also remember when this photograph came. The last time you and I sat down to chat, Kinsey, it was about all of the conspiracy theories about where's Kate. And I think there was a sense that there really needed to be a sighting of Kate, not some snatched picture by an illicit paparazzi while she was being driven around in a car on the Windsor estate. I think there was a feeling that they wanted to do something to reassure a pretty concerned public, and this was deemed a perfect opportunity. And so a picture was released. We understand that it was taken at Windsor last week. We understand now, more details have emerged, that it was shot towards the back end of last week in a pretty tight window, and we know it was taken by Prince William. Now, we're very familiar with Kate as an amateur photographer. She calls herself behind the lens because we know she takes many pictures of her children. But this is the first time William's ever taken a picture. And perhaps the prince has quite a bit to answer for. We shall see. What we know is that Kate, with the picture, did some digital editing or manipulation. Now, if we put this in context, Kinsey, let me ask you, how many pictures do you put out on Instagram without using a filter, without using some kind of an app to sort of make yourself or your scenario look the very best that you possibly can?
Zero. It has to have a filter. I always tweak. I don't have a clear face. Always, every single time, Katie. That is why I was not offended by this story at all.
So she's obviously done a little bit of digital work. Now, I'm assuming, because I don't know this, that she's probably plugged the camera into her Mac or whatever her computer is and done a little bit of editing. We understand she sort of wanted to make the children look as good as possible. And let's be honest, she's just come out of major surgery. She hasn't been seen since Christmas Day. This is an incredibly beautiful young woman who always looks picture perfect. And I've seen her in the flesh without filters, and she is absolutely gorgeous, but she may not be looking at her best at the moment, having gone through what she's been through and still in a period of recovery. So let's forgive her if she's touched herself up a little bit in all of this. But I think where the conspiracy theories have really run away with themselves is the idea that she has been superimposed into that photograph. And we'll come to that a little bit later. But what subsequently ensued over the course of that Sunday, after the initial, oh, what a lovely picture, was many, many eyes being on it and noticing discrepancies, noticing things that didn't quite look right. So whether that was the zipper on Kate's sweater, Princess Charlotte's wrist, Princess Charlotte's skirt that looked out of kilter. Some people noticed that, the tree behind was in full bloom. A lot of the trees don't have leaves on them at this time of the year over here in the UK. And that really paved the way for these wild conspiracy theories. But more importantly, and this was unprecedented, I think it was 5 or 6 international picture agencies pulling that image off of their database. So for those viewers that don't understand how this works, that picture would have been given by Kensington Palace to Reuters, the Press Association, Associated Press, a number of other picture agencies, including Getty, to distribute to media organizations around the world for a period of time. A kill notice was applied by those photo agencies, meaning that that picture needed to be essentially taken out of distribution. These picture agencies believed that it had been digitally manipulated to an extent that they didn't feel that they were able to distribute them. In all of the years, Kinsey, that I've been a royal reporter, I've never heard of such a thing happening. And I think that was really when the wild speculation actually became something very serious. Over the course of Sunday night into Monday morning, there was huge pressure on Kensington Palace to explain what had happened to this image, how much it had been digitally edited, and pressure to see the original image. So we have this extraordinary situation where a photograph that's been sent out to the media and the world to try and quash speculation about Kate's whereabouts and quieten all these conspiracy theories about her has actually had the reverse effect. In fact, it's made those conspiracy theories and those rumors become even more wild. And Kinsey, I know you've just joined us, having gotten off air with a US outlet discussing these conspiracy theories, which simply haven't gone away.
Right. It's just added gasoline to a flame. I wanted to ask you, I think that my pushback is that they're saying this is a fake image. It's my understanding that this is not a fake image. A manipulated image doesn't mean that it is fake. A manipulated image means, a nip or tuck, or maybe she cut a child out and pasted it on because Louis is notorious for his silly expressions, and she wanted it to be just a nice family photo. Do you think that describing it as a fake image is incorrect, an incorrect term? This is not an artificial intelligence photo based on the exit data. We know that this photo actually existed. So is fake, too loose of a term to use when describing this image?
Yeah, I think fake is pushing it too far. Yes, it's clearly been digitally enhanced. When I spoke to someone at the palace, they described them as minor adjustments. So I think that really is what it says on the tin. Minor adjustments, a bit of tweaking here, a bit of perhaps moving someone closer, or like you say, I even think the idea of superimposing an image in is taking it too far, because I think then you are sort of faking an image, if you like. What we do know is that William took it, that they were all there, that this was the real Kate, the real Princess of Wales, sitting in that chair, surrounded by her 3 children. Yes, there are so many things you can pick apart on that image. So much was made of the fact that she wasn't wearing her wedding rings, for example, and of course that's fueled, the ridiculous conspiracy theories and suspicions about their marriage. Does it not occur to people that if you've just had an operation, you may have lost some weight, or indeed you may be a little bit swollen, and you may not have been able to put your rings back on your ring finger? And there was just so much speculation about what was really going on in that photo. And I think we need to give the Princess of Wales a bit of a break here. I think she did something with a good intention. wanting to sort of send out a nice message, a nice picture on Mother's Day. And it's backfired really terribly for her. And let's not forget that she's been in the public eye now for the best part of 20 years. She has never put her foot wrong. There's never been a PR disaster like this. I understand that she's incredibly upset and pretty angry about what's happened. She probably blames herself for photoshopping it. But I really don't think she should be beating herself up because, as you say, none of us put an image out without it having a filter and possibly even more done to it.
You know, one thing I have wanted to address and really haven't had a place to is the fact that the Princess of Wales, I think all of us in our downtime, we might play on apps, we might pick up our phones, and we might peruse social media. The Princess of Wales hasn't had downtime in a very long time. She has been, fiercely working and representing the monarchy and raising beautiful babies. So I feel for her very much so in this scenario because she's not Meghan Markle. She did not build a brand on social media. This is not a place where she's probably confident. Realistically, she's been told by the palace for a decade or more to stay away from things like that, to stay away from having a presence online and to shield herself from that kind of access to the world.
I think that's a really, really good point, Kinsey. I completely agree with you. And perhaps if any lessons have been learned here, it might well be that anything that goes out on social goes through a lot more scrutiny. And I think when we look at that picture and the sort of amateur photoshopping that's taken place, I think that totally backs up everything you've just said, that she's not used to doing this. She's not a professional photoshopper or editor. This is not her forte. And so perhaps before going onto social media and issuing a picture next time or a message or whatever it's going to be, perhaps it's just going to go through some far more stringent measures. What I hope very much is that it doesn't break that real bond of trust that I think the couple have between themselves and the public. They've amassed a very loyal and devoted following on social media. I think they've mostly had support over this episode. Of course, there will always be the critics, there will always be the haters. But that trust between members of the royal family and their subjects and the public, whether that's people that wait outside of events to go and shake their hands or take a picture or a selfie, or people that just engage with them on social media, doesn't matter. That bond of trust and that connection between the royals and their subjects is absolutely important. When you lose that, then you're in really dangerous territory.
With their polling numbers being so high, not only in the UK, but in the United States, they're some of the most popular figures within the royal family. Do you think that if they put themselves out there, if we see the Princess of Wales more often, the public will be quick to forgive and forget? Or do you think that this is really the type of situation that's going to take some real healing time?
No, I don't. I think people move on pretty quickly. I think people see a devoted mum, someone who's absolutely devoted to her husband, to her duty, and to the important public role that she fulfills every day of her life. Yes, she hasn't been seen since Christmas Day, but we were always told that we wouldn't see her until after Easter. So this whole "Where's Kate" debate, I find really unfair and completely unnecessary. We know exactly where she is. She's in Windsor. She's recovering. In fact, she was spotted in the car with William heading to central London, we understand, for a private appointment this week as well. I think that's reassuring that she's out and about, and hopefully it won't be too long before she's out and about on royal duties. But when she is, it's going to be in her own time and on her own terms. And I think everyone needs to respect that.
Agreed.
So, Kinsey, moving on to the States, James Hewitt's back in the headlines again.
I know. Consider this the 50 Shades of the writing instructor that I'd rather not read, okay? James Hewitt, Princess Diana's ex-lover, he kept 64 letters that she wrote during their affair. The now infamous affair, it lasted 5 years between 1986 and 1991. According to The Sun, he's had representatives approach auction houses about the idea of selling these 64 letters. Now, they are believed to be worth approximately £1 million. I guess $1 million since he's looking to sell them in the States. Hewitt is rumored to have previously offered the letters as collateral for a $500,000 loan. After leaving the army in 1994, I know you remember this. He absolutely wreaked havoc on Princess Diana's personal life by collaborating on that book, Princess in Love. He was allegedly paid over £300,000 for sharing details of that relationship. And then, do you remember the tacky TV movie? And I call it tacky, although I admit I've watched it on multiple occasions. In the past, Hewitt actually argued to Larry King that he felt like these letters deserved to be circulated wider all over the world because they were important historical documents. There were even rumors at the time that Prince William would purchase them just to make them go away. Now, a spokesperson for James told The Sun on Sunday that Heritage Auctions were approached on the behalf of a representative of James Hewitt solely to value and authenticate the letters for personal reasons and insurance purposes, that he has no intention to sell. But because he's flip-flopped in the past, I don't know what to believe. Last I heard he was living with his mother, but I do think that this is something that could bring extreme emotional stress to not only Prince William, but Prince Harry here as well.
I think they're probably both hoping that James Hewitt and those letters just disappear, never to be seen again. And they will feel deeply disappointed that anyone connected to their mother is cashing in on her memory, a memory that they're trying very hard to preserve with love and with dignity. So yes, I can imagine that for the boys, anytime a story like this comes up, and whether he has just had them, valued for insurance purposes or not, it's just a reminder, isn't it, that the past is, when it comes to their mother, never that far away for them.
Absolutely. He's become kind of a cartoon character over here. With Diana the musical, there was a big musical number where he was on a horse. It's kind of become much more of a joke than this romantic story he tried to paint in Princess in Love. What is his reputation there? Has he done reality TV and some of the weird things some of those characters have done over there that have been associated with Diana?
Well, he hasn't got a particularly good reputation over here. I think he's seen as a has-been, as someone who's really tried to cash in on Diana's memory. I can't think of any big TV shows or anything that he's done recently. To be honest, Kinsey, this is the first I've heard of Hewitt or a story regarding Hewitt for some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we briefly touched on this maybe a week or two ago, but things seem to be progressing when it comes to this Prince Harry immigration paper case. As you know, the Heritage Foundation is suing the government because they want access to Prince Harry's paperwork to determine whether or not he was given special treatment when he came over to the United States. Well, a federal judge has ordered the Department of Homeland Security to submit documents related to Prince Harry's visa for that judge to review after the department refused to release them to the Heritage Foundation under the Freedom of Information Act. I think that I'm very intrigued by this case. Obviously, I've never seen anything like it before. Do you think that Prince Harry's comments to Good Morning America about considering becoming a citizen could hurt him in a judge's eyes? Looking at these documents, is that judge going to say, well, the American public should know whether or not he was truthful in his application to come over here?
Well, I think more than the comments he made to ABC are the passages that he wrote in Spare about his drug taking and his drug taking past. So yes, I think he's probably not overly concerned, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, possibly might be a bit more concerned if Trump gets in. But I think at the moment, this is a sort of story that continues to surface, and I think it possibly has got legs. But I think the idea of Harry and Meghan, well, not Meghan, obviously, but Harry sort of being booted out of the States, I think it's pretty unlikely. But perhaps he might have wanted to have considered what he said in Spare more carefully, not just about his drug-taking past, but perhaps some of the things he revealed about his family, because he may then find himself not the subject of scrutiny over his visa application, but also perhaps a little closer to his family than he is today.
Well, Katie, it's been so much fun to catch up with you this week. Katie and I are going to have all the latest developments on KateGate next week. Did you agree with our take on the Princess of Wales's photo? Please let us know in the comments below. And yeah, please make sure you subscribe to talkTV because this story and the royals aren't going anywhere.